The Zephyrian research station Astral Dawn had been drifting in the void between star systems for 3 cycles, its crystalline hull scarred by plasma burns and meteoric impacts. What had begun as a routine xenobiology expedition to catalog life forms in the outer rim had become a nightmare when the Corac raiders descended upon them like vultures. Dr. Celine Vexhai pressed her 4-fingered hand against the observation deck's transparasteel, watching the sleek black ships circle their dying vessel. Her bioluminescent markings flickered with anxiety, a telltale sign of her species' distress. The raiders had been toying with them for hours, systematically disabling their engines, communications, and life support systems. "Status report," she commanded, her melodic voice carrying the weight of command despite her young age for a Zephyrian. "Shields at 12% and falling," reported Lieutenant Caxon from his station. "Main engines offline. Emergency power will last maybe 6 hours." Celine's heart sank. The 43 crew members aboard the Astral Dawn were scientists, not warriors. They had no weapons beyond basic defensive arrays, and their distress beacon had been transmitting into empty space for days. No one was coming. The outer rim was too far from any major civilization to expect rescue. The lead Corac vessel, a massive dreadnought bristling with weapon arrays, moved closer. Its hull bore the scars of 1,000 victories, and Celine knew their fate was sealed. The Corac were notorious for taking prisoners only to sell them, in the slave markets of the terminus worlds. "Dr. Vexhai," came a trembling voice from the communications station. "We're receiving a transmission from the Corac flagship." The main screen flickered to life, revealing the grotesque visage of War Captain Thexmore. His reptilian features were enhanced with cybernetic implants that gleamed under the bridge's harsh lighting. When he spoke, his voice was a growling rasp. "Zephyrian vessel, your scientific data will fetch a fine price. Your crew will serve in the mining colonies. Surrender now, and your deaths will be quick." Celine straightened her shoulders, her species' natural grace evident even in defeat. "We are non-combatants engaged in peaceful research by the Galactic Accords." Thexmore's laughter was like grinding metal. "The Accords mean nothing in the void, little scientist. You have 1 minute to comply." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in stunned silence. Celine closed her eyes, feeling the weight of every life depending on her decision. The Zephyrians were an ancient race, proud of their scientific achievements and philosophical traditions. They had never been warriors. "Ma'am," whispered Lieutenant Caxon, "perhaps we should—" "Contact," interrupted the sensor operator suddenly. "Unknown vessel dropping out of hyperspace at bearing 27 Mark 4. Every head on the bridge turned toward the main screen as space itself seemed to tear open in a brilliant cascade of light. What emerged defied expectation. A vessel, unlike anything in their databases. It was angular and aggressive, its hull a matte gray that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Strange markings covered its surface, and weapon ports bristled along its flanks like the spines of some deep space predator. "Configuration unknown," reported the sensor operator, his voice filled with wonder. "Mass approximately 2 million tons. Energy readings are extraordinary." Celine studied the newcomer with growing fascination. The ship's design philosophy was completely alien to her. Where Zephyrian vessels were flowing and organic, and even Corac ships maintained a brutal symmetry, this craft looked like it had been forged for one purpose: war. The communications console chimed with an incoming transmission on an ancient emergency frequency, one that hadn't been used in over a century. When the signal cleared, the bridge crew gasped collectively. The being on the screen was unlike anything they had encountered. Bipedal, with pale skin and strange hair covering its head, it wore what appeared to be a military uniform. But it was the creature's eyes that captured Celine's attention, intense, calculating, and burning with an inner fire that spoke of unbreakable will. "This is Captain Kareem Hassan of the Terran Federation vessel Retribution," the being said, his voice carrying an odd accent. "We received your distress call 3 days ago. Sorry we're late, had to make a few modifications." Celine blinked in confusion. "Terran? I'm unfamiliar with that species designation." A slight smile played across the human's features. Most people are. We're new to the neighborhood, but we have a saying, nobody fights alone. Consider this your lucky day. Before Celine could respond, the human warship moved with impossible grace for something so massive. It positioned itself between the Astral Dawn and the Corac fleet, its weapon systems powering up with an ominous hum that resonated through space itself. War Captain Thexmore's voice crackled over the comm, filled with rage. Unknown vessel, you interfere in Corac business. Withdraw now or share their fate. Captain Hassan's response was delivered with cold professionalism. Negative. You have 30 seconds to withdraw from Zephyrian space before we demonstrate why humans don't make empty threats. The Corac response was predictable. The dreadnought opened fire with everything it had. Plasma cannons, particle beams, and quantum torpedoes lanced through space toward the human ship. What happened next would be discussed in military academies for generations. The Retribution didn't dodge. Instead, it accelerated directly into the barrage, its shields flaring with energies that turned the void into a light show. Return fire erupted from every weapon port. Not the elegant energy weapons most species favored, but brutal kinetic projectiles that moved at significant fractions of light speed. The first salvo punched through the lead Corac destroyer's shields, like they were made of paper. The second salvo reduced it to expanding plasma and debris. Impossible, breathed Lieutenant Caxon. No ship that size should be able to generate that much firepower. Captain Hassan's voice filled the bridge again. Dr. Vexhai, I suggest you move your people to the far side of your vessel. Things are about to get interesting. The battle lasted exactly 4 minutes and 37 seconds. When it ended, the Corac fleet was either destroyed or fleeing into hyperspace, leaving behind only wreckage and stunned silence. As the Retribution moved alongside the Astral Dawn, Captain Hassan appeared on screen once more. This time his expression was gentler, almost apologetic. Dr. Vexhai, we'll transfer repair crews to get your ship operational. Our medical teams are standing by if you have wounded. Celine found her voice at last. Captain Hassan, your species. These humans, where do you come from? Your technology is unlike anything we've encountered. Kareem's smile was enigmatic. Let's just say we're survivors, Doctor. We've learned that in a universe full of predators, sometimes you have to become something they fear more than death itself. He paused, studying her through the screen. But we're also explorers, scientists, philosophers. Not so different from your people, really. The galaxy's a big place. Plenty of room for species that believe in something better. As repair teams began working on the Astral Dawn, Celine reflected on the day's events. The humans had appeared from nowhere, asked for nothing, and risked everything to save complete strangers. Perhaps she thought the galaxy had just become a far more interesting place. And somewhere in the darkness between stars, other predators took notice. The message was clear. Humanity had arrived, and the rules of the game had just changed forever.